So our next speaker is Alex Stewart. Alex Stewart is recently been the sales director of a company called Store Lab. He's going to be sharing quite an authentic talk around his lessons from burnout, allowing yourself to feel emotional and comfortable with challenges you might be facing. Also, what is the required discipline to be a successful IC and leadership? Alex has spent the majority of his career scaling startups and SMBs. The first startup he worked for was Get Agent, where he joined as employee number 4, scaled the business to 500k per month in 24 months. From there, he joined OneDome, where he grew OneDome into the 4th biggest property portal in the UK. And most recently, he was the sales director at Store Lab, where he grew the team from 0 to 7. He's also a sales confidence leadership member, and I'm excited to hear his talk. Over to you.
Oh, hello. Thank you, James. Thank you for the nice words. I did write them, so stealing your joke. So hello, I'm Alex. Thank you, James. Oh, stand closer. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me this evening, James, and thank you, Will, for hosting us. It's very kind of you. As James said, I have spent most of my career in startups, scaling startups to scale-ups, and then into SMBs. Kind of caught the bug when I was 23 and I joined Get Agent. Everything was going right for us. We were killing it. We raised funding round after funding round. We tripled our team 1 year, tripled it again the next year, and then we had to double it again. I ended up getting very bad burnout when I was about 26. It came just after we've successfully closed the funding round, tripled our B2C team, doubled our B2B team, and had a successful TV ad campaign go out. I thought I was invincible. All I did was work. I thought about work all the time, while also trying to go out on the smash 4 or 5 nights a week because I was 26, and I was also trying to maintain a 6-pack because I was 26. All of this came to quite an aggressive head when one day I kind of caught what I thought was a cold. 6 weeks later, I still wasn't back at work. So I was off work for about 6 weeks, and then for a further 4 weeks, kind of had to slowly ease myself back into things. I learned 4 really important lessons from burnout that I kind of apply to my day-to-day, and I encourage everyone in my teams to apply to themselves. Number 1 is allow yourself to feel your emotions. For anyone here rolling your eyes thinking another bloody mindfulness talk, I promise you it's not a mindfulness talk. Number 2, as Heather's already touched on, be disciplined. Number 3, curiosity and cultivate a abundance mindset. And number 4, true objectivity is your biggest friend. I'm going to focus on numbers 1 and 2 because they are what can add the most value to an IC and also a recent leader. For those of you that have slightly more experience, I'm afraid a lot of this you may already know. So, feeling your emotions. Sales is obviously super stressful. We know it's very stressful. It's also even more stressful when you're working for a company that has yet to break even, because literally the entire fate of however many people are working for you is on your shoulders. If you're not careful, that stress can very quickly compound, consolidates into some awful feelings inside yourself, and you end up in a pretty dark place pretty quickly. So the most important thing I would say is allow yourself to feel how you're feeling. Emotions are not facts. Feelings are not facts. They are, in fact, your body's way of trying to communicate with you. They are delivering a message for you. And if, as an IC or a leader, you want true peak performance, you have to be able to interpret the messages that your body is sending you. I think it's really strange that we live in a world, or certainly in the UK, a society that fetishizes repressing emotion. And arguably in sales, we have a grizz it out mentality. You just kind of... Everyone knows that discipline, the more calls you make, the more deals you make, but often it comes at the cost of how we're actually feeling. Emotional intelligence, according to 20 years of scientific and business research, is 2 times more likely to indicate success in leaders and salespeople than IQ. So understanding how you're feeling is really important. 3 practical tips that anyone can adopt from tomorrow. Number 1 is emotions are contagious. We've all walked into a room and thought, oh, someone's having a terrible day here, or our manager's left the meeting and it's obvious they're super stressed, super annoyed, and you kind of think you're about to get a rocket. The reverse is also true. If someone's happy, if someone's upbeat, if someone's confident, it spreads through a team. As a leader, you have a responsibility to make sure the energy you are putting out and you are giving your team is the right kind of energy, and you're not being a Dementor. Sorry if you're not a Harry Potter fan. As an IC, you have a responsibility to make sure that the energy you're bringing to your discovery calls, your demo calls, even your cold calling block is the right kind of energy. If you start to fire out the wrong kind of energy, I guarantee you your results are going to slump. If you don't understand how you are actually feeling, I guarantee you there's no way you will know the energy that you're putting out. So make sure you start to understand how you're feeling so you can start to be accountable for the energy that you're putting out into a room. Number 2, around feeling your emotions, is mindset. I'm sure everyone in this room has had a day, a week, a month, a year where they smash everything and they can dial in really, really hard and easily into the right mindset that allows them to smash everything. Most people don't get that because most people don't understand what it takes to kind of flip a switch from your child's cried all night, right? And you've had a terrible night's sleep. They don't understand that they need to flip the switch. They need to let themselves get into a certain emotional state. Maybe you've had an argument with your partner. And again, you need to flip into a certain emotional state to allow you to smash the contract negotiation you've got coming up, or your cold call block, whatever it might be. If you're not in tune with how you're feeling, you will never be able to consistently get your mindset right. I guarantee you, if nobody takes anything else away from this, other than understanding how to flip your mindset, easily, your results will skyrocket. And the number 3 thing, leaders and salespeople have a lot in common. The number 1 thing they have in common is essentially it's our jobs to understand the emotion of a room, understand the emotion and feelings of the person you're talking to. Similar to kind of giving out the energy, being an energy provider, if you're not in tune with how you're actually feeling, there is no way you're going to understand how your prospect's feeling, how your team member's feeling, how possibly someone on another team's feeling. But if you're a salesperson about to hand something over to the account management team and you can see that the account manager is having a terrible day and don't do anything about it, you're setting yourself up for fail as well. So if you can't understand how you're feeling, you'll never be able to understand how other people around you are feeling, which means you won't be able to sell to them as effectively, or you won't be able to drive performance amongst your team as effectively. The second part, as Heather's already touched on, is discipline. For me, discipline is the building block of literally every part of high performance. It's a topic I'm pretty passionate about and could bore you all for hours on. I won't. I'm going to keep it pretty high level. Everyone in sales knows that if you make a certain number of phone calls, you'll get a certain number of deals. They also, everyone knows that if you want to be really good at sales, you've got to work at what you're not good at. That's, for me, only half of where you need to be disciplined. There are, in my experience, 3 other areas where you need to be on it. Number 1 is being disciplined and normalizing saying no. Particularly actually in your personal life, but I'll touch on that in a second. Professionally, saying no is super important. You're much better off doing 3 things incredibly well than 5 things really averagely. If you're constantly asked to do things, it's really flattering, right? Everyone's like, oh, I'm being asked to do things, I'm doing a great job. But quickly what you'll find, if you're not careful, is you take on work you don't have the bandwidth for. Suddenly you find yourself overwhelmed. You're not able to deliver your normal standard of work. Suddenly you're doing 5 things, possibly even badly. You then find yourself with a reputation for being overwhelmed, stressed. Suddenly people aren't asking you to do things and your performance is plummeting. So if you're going to say yes to work, make sure either you have the bandwidth for it, say no, or you make it really, really clear that something else is going to have to be dropped in order for you to execute it to a level that people like and people expect from you. The other side to saying no is, unfortunately, in your personal life. Now, I'm going to caveat this with, I'm not saying you should be a monk. Go out, get drunk, have a good time with your friends, see your family, do whatever makes you happy, right? But peak performance at work has to come with an element of saying no in your personal life. As I found, if you're going out 4 nights of the week and you feel vaguely like a carcass, there's not a huge amount. You can't keep going to the well to perform well at work the next day. You've got to be responsible for how often you're going out. Are you taking care of your diet? Are you exercising enough? Say no in your personal life to make sure you're performing to the best of your ability at work. As I say, there's that obvious caveat, don't be a monk, do the things you enjoy, because the number 2 part of being disciplined is making sure you don't become all about work. It makes you miserable. Work can follow you around like a black hat cloud. Everyone's come off a call and thought, I should have done this better, I could have done this better. Everyone's come out of a one-to-one meeting with someone on their team or a team talk and thought, oh God, I should have said this. 1 minute, God, I'll be quick. He's going to start playing music in a second. Make sure you prioritize what's important to you outside of work. Make sure, as Heather says, you keep exercising, you keep doing whatever it is that allows you that release valve. Sales is super, super stressful. In my experience, managing salespeople can be even more stressful. So it's really important that you have a way, a valve, to let that stress go. So make sure, no matter what happens, and I know it's tempting to let it go, but make sure you are strict with yourself about doing things you enjoy and not sacrificing your you time. The final area to be disciplined in is, everyone talks a lot about raising a ceiling. Everyone wants to have a record week every week. The reality of life is that's just not going to happen. One thing people who I've managed will know, and we've got one of them here, Kelvin, I'm going to embarrass you, is I talk a lot about raising your floor. The idea behind raising your floor is that you consistently work on bringing up your average. Whether it's you do an extra 1% of phone calls, whether it's you know that the one objection that you really struggle with, you spend a bit of extra time doing it. Focus on raising your floor, be disciplined with raising your floor, and don't get distracted around chasing raising your ceiling. It's far too easy to try and chase a record week every week. Everyone in this room will know that that doesn't happen. If you focus on consistently raising your average, you'll find that you are top of your company very quickly, and you'll find that record weeks are suddenly much more within your distance because you actually don't have as far to go. If you think about it in a sprinting term, if you know that the world record for sprinting is 9.69 seconds and you're running a 12-second 100 meters, you've got a long way to go. But if your average 100 meter is 9.8, you can find ways to shave that off. All you really need is a good tailwind. I'm told I'm a terrible sprinter. But be disciplined around raising your floor. It's one of the best ways you can improve as an IC. I'm not going to go into the other two because James will start playing music at me, but if anyone wants to talk about them in detail afterwards, I'm happy to bore you about it. I hope everyone's found something that they can take away and apply from this. And yeah, happy to answer any questions later.